G'day friends, welcome to today's YouTube video. My name's James, welcome back to my channel. Welcome if you are new. Today I've got my little A5 watercolor insert here. I call it an insert, not really a journal, because it is kind of just a bound like watercolor paper insert journal. It's A5 size. There's not many pages in it. I actually love these for my travel journal because I end up putting a lot of stuff in there and they get really bulky, and so I can actually finish the book and it will be all bulky and I don't have to worry about having lots of leftover pages. So actually in my Amazon, I believe there's a link to these in the journal section of my Amazon storefront, so there's a link down in the description if you want to check those out. But I do really love these, and they're a really convenient size to film with because they fit on the screen really nicely so you can still see everything. So that's what I'm using today. I do also have some other art journals, art journals, just in case I don't want to wait for something to dry in here, we can just switch them out. But this is what I'll primarily try to use today, and we're doing fashion illustration. This week on Playtest 2, the Patreon experience for 2019, I did a Sketchflix Plus episode, which is basically just Sketchflix with a few extra bonus bits in Patreon, and I did it I did it with the movie The Devil Wears Prada, which is one of my all-time faves, the most quotable movie. I should not have turned the camera on today, let's be real. My voice isn't working, I don't know what happened to me. Maybe I've just got too much to say and I feel like I've got not enough time to say it. That's because I've got a timer set on my iPad just over to the side there. I'm giving myself 40 minutes start to finish to see what we can do, and then I'll just keep this video real time. So please bear with me. I don't know how I'm gonna fare when I know that the clock is ticking. Usually I'll just let myself set up and we go for like about an hour. But this time I want to make sure that it's just 40 minutes of playtime because I need to be better about scheduling. One of my biggest issues is time management, and I give myself too much to do with not enough time to do it. So today, this is what I'm trialing. So I hope you're okay with that, and we'll just kind of go through the video real time. I'm doing fashion illustration today. I have a bunch of these images that I printed off from an Instagram. I don't want to butcher it, but I think it's Divina Ispirazione. Oh, here, look, liked by Asia Draws. Asia Draws actually posted this particular post in her Insta story, and I was so taken away with it. I wanted to go and check out everything else that this beautiful Instagram feed had to offer, and I printed off just some of the ones I thought, you know, maybe weren't the best or the most iconic imagery, but ones that I thought would be really interesting to tackle as a fashion illustration. Fashion illustration is something that I have loved for the longest time. It's probably one of the things that encouraged me to learn how to draw the most of what I learned how to draw regarding, you know, figures and shapes and faces. I just love fashion. I've got a passion for fashion. What is going on outside? Oh no, people are saying honk. No, take that away. Take it away. I think they've got a good message. It says honk for our planet, but I cannot be having that in the background of my YouTube video today. For those of you who don't know, I live in an apartment, but I'm right on the road, so I can see, I mean, I love people watching, so it's great. I can see all the cars as I'm working, but I think they're about to set up a protest on the corner. They look like they're moving, I don't know. Okay. So stressed, haven't even hit the timer yet. Let's just get straight into it. I got a bunch of supplies here. Let's just go for it. 40 minutes on the clock starts now. Where's that from? I feel like that's a saying. Someone says that. I've got a platinum carbon ink fountain pen. I think I'm going to start there because I feel safest to start there. Which one should we start with? I'm thinking... I love how I'm like safest to start with a pen. I probably should have started with a pencil. But we're not... Look, we're just going to warm ourselves up a little bit first. I think I might start... This one's got some very graphic shapes, so I feel like it's not going to be the most difficult thing in the world. I'm going to start by sectioning off a little bit of my page so I can have a bit of a boundary to work within. Sorry. I will like randomly just step up and check that the film is still recording. The video is recording. The film. Why do I always say that? It's because I was raised with film. I'm just going to pick out the most bold shapes first, and then we'll see how we go from there. I'm not going for any kind of realism today. What I like to do with these is just play with the mood that I'm seeing, the mood, the shapes, the composition. Fashion photography, styled editorials is just, I mean, the creativity that goes into some of these. Tim Blanks is one of my favorite. Oh, not Tim Blanks. Tim Walker is one of my favorite. I think some of these in here. This is Tim Walker. He does an amazing job. I mean, there are so many people that do an amazing job creating very, very unique fashion imagery. But I've got a bunch from all over the decades. I've got some from like the 40s and some from more recently. So we're not going to discriminate today. I probably shouldn't have drawn in all these folds yet. I just want to get the big basic shapes down first. When I am using photo references, I like to work with the shadows. So I'll try and pick up where all the shadows are going and mark in a lot of the darkest spaces first. What on earth? I'm gonna equalize the audio on this video, so I don't know if you can hear what I am reacting to. Probably though, because I've heard it before in my videos. It's just so annoying to me that people have those loud cars. Like, what is that for? Do people enjoy sitting in those? Maybe I shouldn't be filming in here. Well, there's nowhere else to film. What are my other options? Sorry, I'm just talking to myself. I just don't like that a lot of the time there's so much noise going on in the road. And I would shut the window. That would definitely help. But there's no fan in here. And the AC doesn't blow really strong in this room. I don't know how that worked out. But I feel like it just becomes an oven. So I can't do that. I can't do that, unfortunately. I'm very sorry. When I do the voiceovers, I think it's easier because I'm out in the other room and I can shut those windows. It's nice and cool in there, but not in this studio. The church bells are ringing now. It's just everything. What's going on today? Oh wow, we're 4 minutes in. I should probably get a move on because I don't want to spend all my time on one of these. I've got some Japanese calligraphy ink that I'm using just to shade in some of these areas. I've gone a little dark with that grey, so I'm just going to blot some of it up. And then whatever's left on my brush, I know will be, well, I guess it's gone. It's a little grey, so I'm going to try and put that in all these folds that are happening on the dress. Again, no kind of realism here, just going for the effect. And then moving on. I don't not like realism. I just don't think you need to do it all the time. Like, if I'm going to sit down and have fun, it's probably not one of the most fun things for me to do because I find it takes a lot of time. I don't want to labor over something if I'm trying to have fun. Do you know what I mean? I just want to actually have the fun of it. And try and add this shadow down here. Like I said, working with all the shadow spaces, like the shapes that the shadows are making, it's a bit of an effective technique to help you learn how things are structured, but also not the easiest thing to do when you're working really quickly. So take all of my advice with a grain of salt, basically. I think I'm going to put a bit of a background color in because I do like, there's kind of a gradient going on back there. I'm going to use some of this lavender watercolor. I don't want it to be grey because I feel like the tones will start to get lost, but I'm just going to put some of that back there and then just blend it out to the top. I don't necessarily do this for any other reason than just to have fun, but I do notice that when I am having fun with my illustrations and my drawings and my paintings and my journaling, that is when I inevitably learn the most. So it is really important for me to choose things that I do have fun with because I spend a lot more time having fun with them. Do you know what I mean? I'm less likely to give up. And once you're giving up, there's not really much to learn after that. So I make sure that I really do pick something I know I'm going to enjoy. Even if it's like completely random, like the other day I was doing urban sketching. I don't typically do that. I'll choose it just so that I can stick it out and have a really long, enjoyable play session. This one's interesting to me because I wanted to work with the negative space of it. So I think I'm just gonna, you know what, I'll do it in pencil. I've got a pencil here. This one. I've got an extender on this really cheap Ticonderoga No. 2 pencil. So I just want to draw the shape. She's got this furry helmet. This is clearly from the 60s. That just screams 60s. I'm gonna put this little, what's it look like? It looks like a submarine mask, that little opening. Not gonna worry about her face for a second because I just want to get the structure of this coat, which to be fair is just very triangular. Got some of those pleats, not even pleats, they're just folds in the fabric down there. Got these massive buttons. I do find that when I'm sketching, I don't really care if it looks wonky or bad. The process doesn't all happen in the first initial stroke, I find. I find that you have multiple opportunities to start, you know, tightening things up or fixing, you know, areas that might start to look a little wonky. But there's also nothing wrong with drawing something wonky. Do you know what I mean? There's also something so great about having the wrong perspective, the wrong kind of askew and distortion, because then it starts to look a lot more whimsical, and that's where I like to live. The reason I like these images as well, like an image like this, even though it looks very simple, there's a lot of high contrast in it. And again, when I'm looking for shadows, it is just easier to see the shapes that those shadows are making if the contrast is super high on the image. So I find it a little easier to block in what's going on. It's not going to look perfect, but the more you scribble over the top of it, the less people will be able to decipher what you were really trying to do anyway. So just keep scribbling. That's my best advice. If you put enough working lines in there, they won't figure it out. My goodness, that noise is so loud. I'm so sorry. I know I keep saying sorry like there's nothing I can do about it. I'm not going to shut the window. I'm just not going to. I will roast and no one's going to have a good time. So I'm just going to apologize and we just have to live with it. But hopefully the equalization in the audio helps a little bit. So for this, I like that all the white is so white and bright. So I'm going to grab a little, where did it go? I'm going to grab this Tim Holtz detailer brush, if I could ever find it, which you know I won't. Where did it go? I had it for Sketchflix the other day, now I'm livid. Oh, there it is. Got it. It was not where I usually keep it, that was my fault. This is filled with the same ink that I'm using, this black calligraphy ink. This is just from the Daiso. It's like $1.50 for this whole bottle. It'll last you for years. It's made from vegetable soot, apparently. So I find that really interesting. But I dilute it with some water and I just put it in a detailer brush. This is an amazing little tool for creating shadows. Now, over the years, I've strayed away from creating grey shadows, but if I'm doing really simple sketches where I don't really need to put a lot of colour in there, and I don't need it to look super whimsical, or I don't want it to, this is just perfect for a bit of a shadow, and you can lightly brush them in. The thing that's great about the calligraphy ink as well is it is layerable, so if this dries and you find that it's not dark enough of a shadow, you can go over the top and you can start to darken that up. So you can literally shadow over your shadows, and that just, it's such an easy way to add depth, you know, even to your shadows, I guess. So I would highly recommend just one of these little detailer brush. It's a Tim Holtz one. I find them the best to use, and I have one that's just for water and one that's just for shadows, particularly in this, you know, really fast sketching kind of illustration, urban sketching as well, to have just a shadow brush available. So it's just so handy. I actually should probably get some with a few more colors in there because, like I said, I don't typically do gray anymore, and I would like maybe a purple one. Why did my voice go like that? I'm going through puberty again. I was actually filming earlier and my voice cracked. Maybe, I don't know, maybe something's happening to me. Alright, so I've given her some shadows. Now to really punch that contrast out, I'm going to grab the black straight up and I'm going to carve around this image. By that, I mean, you know how when you're carving, you're taking the outer image, you're taking the outer portion of something and you're slicing into it. I find the same thing whenever I'm putting in a background after I've already drawn something. I find that I'm recarving the shape. So I'll allow myself to dip in over these lines that I don't want anymore, or I'll, you know, if something's become a little too bulky in a certain area, I'll shave it off down the side, like the shoulder there. I'll make sure that I just run it across really kind of wonky so that I can keep a lot of that interesting texture of the garment. But overall, I think this is just a really effective technique, especially if you're someone like me that draws before you do a background. I do love a good bit of negative space painting, and then you know, recarving my image out. I think this is a really nice contrast. I'm really feeling this monotone, monochromatic palette again. I think it's because Inktober's coming up and a lot of my flashback time hops and everything have been all these black and white, very graphic images. So I feel like I'm just being influenced by those. Not just my own, I mean everyone's. Everybody's getting ready for Inktober, which I don't know if I don't think I've told YouTube. I'm not doing Inktober this year. I am very, very sorry if it's something that you were looking forward to. I have, in all transparency, I've been making the most terrible decisions re my scheduling, and I've been making really unhealthy decisions like I did last year, where I've been sacrificing, you know, a healthier option like sleep and rest to be able to work on all the things that I give myself to work on. So I'm not doing anything, I'll be doing Whimsyween instead, but I'm just not tackling the challenge of Inktober, and I'm not going to be doing, you know, the 31 videos, like the video every day, and the daisy prompts, and then formatting a book and selling a book. Like, it's not going to be that. And I'm not saying I'll never do it again, but this year I am. I'm really looking forward to focusing a bit more on that Whimsyween content, because it's something I always neglect over doing Inktober. And I think I'm good to give that a break this year. But are you doing it? And if you are doing it, what are you doing for it? Because I'll still watch. You best believe I'll still be watching. Always watching. Who's that? What's her name? Roz from Monsters Inc. She's always watching. I'm gonna grab a blue pen and hold it kind of far back because I don't want to control it a lot. I'm gonna lightly. I'm going to crazily sketch over just some of the details in this because they get lost in pencil, and I just want to add a bit more structure to the coat. We've got nice contrast between the black and the grey and the white, but I still think there could be a bit more of a solid line going on to separate some of these shapes. But just scribbles, nothing crazy. And I say to hold the pen back because you're less likely to control it if you're holding it all the way back. Scribble in that face area. Again, the more you scribble over the face, the more no one will know what you were supposed to be drawing in the first place. It'll look much more impressive, I swear. Alright. You know, she kind of looks like that weird clown, the Poirot clown. I mean, that's not weird, but that's what I'm getting from this. But I quite enjoyed that. That is kind of exactly what I wanted to try with that, so success in the bush. Does anyone clock that reference? That's a very obscure reference. I'm pretty sure that's a quote from a special features of a DVD. It's from Summer Heights High, so I don't know. Success in the bush. Was it We Can Be Heroes or Summer Heights High? I'm pretty sure it was Summer Heights High. My best friend would always quote that to me. I'd laugh my head off. Oh wow, we've only got 24 minutes left. I need to get cracking. I'm gonna dry this. I want to move on to another page. It's too close here. If I move to a double spread, I'll be able to do a lot more. So let's just stop playing. Let's stop playing. Let's stop pretending that I don't just want to be hammering all of these out. Let's attack this one. Let's do something that I'm afraid to show you on camera. I'm gonna get my ink. Check if I'm still filming. Yep. I'm gonna get my ink, and I'm just going to paint this one in. I can see the shape there, and look, even if it was difficult to see, there's something so handy about having a printed reference in that I can trace over it and start to get a feel for it. I could even block it into different shapes so I could tell where everything was going. And that would give me an even better idea of, okay, even if I wanted to run a line through the center of everything, you would have to know a bit about bodies, but I mean, we don't have time for that. That's all in my online course if you're curious about some of that stuff. But I mean, I use the same technique all the time anyway. So you can see we've got a line here. I might even want to just add that plumb line in so I can get a better feel for how everything crosses. But I want to do it a little stylized. Also another effective technique to get away with not being precise. But quite difficult. It's actually quite difficult to be very stylized and pull it off in an effortless way. I'm using the wrong brush for it. Whoops. Oh Well, hopefully it will still work. If not, we can try it again. I just love this. I mean, the glamour of this. Are you not experiencing this glamour that I'm experiencing right here? I'd try and put this on if I had access to this gown. I'm sure I would. It's a sensible off to Walmart kind of ensemble. I need to stop talking. I can hear myself going crazy. This is my night crazy, so I don't know how I've managed to pull this into the daytime. Alright, should I just... because I really like that silhouette. I'm just wondering if this needs to go down a touch more. Her hip should have been a bit higher. She's going to start to get very Kardashian in a second. I'm wondering how I should do the face and the head and the arm and stuff. Should I just block them in with the red? Like, does that even matter? They could just be light lines. Because I was more interested in this dress anyway, so it can be as stylized as I want. I don't know. Let's just leave her quite simple. And I'm not being simple right now, so... This is going to get away from me very quickly. I need to stop. I might just shade some of this with the grey and we'll see what happens. Just some of the shadow areas. And maybe the hair. I've pulled her beehive up a touch because I just wanted it to be a bit more glamorous. Yeah, it's looking a little, it's not looking very much like the reference for me. I would prefer it to look a little closer, but at the same time, I'm not mad at it. I think we can just leave that one and move on. What do you think? Because I like this one. I really want to draw her. She's going to be a little difficult, so... I wonder, should I go back with the pen? The pencil? I think I'm going to do the pencil. Let's start with... I'm actually going to break her up into a few shapes. Just so I can see where everything is. It seems pretty obvious to me, but I rarely draw the legs like this, so... Sometimes it's hard to know which one goes where. Yeah. I'm getting a feel for it. I typically struggle to put the weight in them when they sit, so she might end up looking like a fairy, but I like that because her wings look like a fairy, so... Let's draw a fairy. Alright, square face. Let's elongate her neck a little bit. I'm going to really push these proportions a touch, just to really go there. So we'll really angle her hips in. Got her sitting, got her hip, knees very crossed. It's almost under the right shoulder, so we'll attach that, and we'll have it. I think the angle's more this way. She's got a nice arch in her foot, so we'll just leave that there for a second. Probably going to put a heel on her anyway. Just put that there. The other hip disappears underneath, and then her knee appears kind of straight under her neck. Sorry, I'll put this here just in case you were looking. See how that knee kind of comes out from underneath her chin? So, and it also runs down the same path as this leg here, and kind of goes under it a little bit. See, this is where the perspective starts to get a little warped for me, but for all intents and purposes, let's give her the same shoes on both feet. Let's just skip that bit. Her dress looks like it comes down. We can see the knees, and it comes down here. So we're going to add a bit of a very loose interpretation of coloring to this. So I can still be quite messy if I want. She's got these massive sleeves on, so let's exaggerate those and give her those Celine Dion at the Grammys sleeves. Was it the Grammys where she sang My Heart Will Go On wearing literal wings? I'm obsessed. I think that was just iconic. I mean, obviously because of the song, but those sleeves, I mean... I wanted to go as her for Halloween. I just wanted to go as the sleeve. Look, even her little gloves have sleeves. I love this image. I don't know where this came from. Elise Daniels, in tight black moiga shell linen dress with wide taffeta sleeves by Christian Dior, New York. Richard Avedon, 1950, glamour. Absolute glamour. I think the 50s, 60s, and even this, I guess all of them really. I'm very taken with 50s and 60s fashion. Is kind of my guilty pleasure. But give me anything any day and I'm sure I'll be happy. My favorite fashion house is Givenchy. Try and say that properly without sounding pretentious, because I can't. I love Prada and Miu Miu as well. I mean, it's hit and miss, it's collection to collection, but it's safe to say that when Riccardo Tisci was designing for Givenchy, I loved every single collection. And that's as much fashion as I'll get into today, otherwise I'll never stop talking. I'm dead set. I mean, I used to only just read fashion magazines. I don't read books. I just read fashion magazines. My best friend and I would save our money and buy alternating versions of the fashion magazines from the store. Like from Borders, remember Borders? Any Australians before they shut down? We would buy different countries' versions of Vogue, and then we would take them to the school media library and we would photocopy each other's editorials, which is so bad. I'm pretty sure you're not supposed to do that, but it was so that we could save money and we could have like access to more of the editorials. So she'd bring in her, like, you know, Vogue UK, I'd bring in my Vogue Japan, we would photocopy each other's spreads and take those home on big A3 sheets. I actually still have a lot of them. They're literally behind me. Should I get one? This is so bad. Are they in here? I'm sure some of them are in here. I have a whole bunch of, I'm just gonna bring this over anyway. Sorry, I know I should be drawing. This is a lot of, like, all my old fashion stuff that I used to display in my, on my wall, like in my room as a teenager. I did this in 2007 at Christmas time. I did this at Southwest Rocks, I think. This was literally just after Christmas 2007, so I was 17 years old. This is some of my old stuff. Oh, this was gouache. This was the first time I used gouache. I really enjoy these. Maybe I should put these out again. They're really sending me through memory lane. Look at that. Look at that face on that. I tried my best, guys. You can't win them all. This is when I did a fashion illustration course. I wonder what's in here. Maybe there's some other things are in here. What did I do with them? I could have sworn I kept at least one just for memory's sake. Or they might be in my, they might actually be in one of my big scrapbooks. I have these humongous scrapbooks somewhere back there. This is some, I can literally hear you guys trying to be like, slow down, I want to see that. I'm not showing you. Oh, this is a collage I did. This is a collage I did. I noticed one of the fashion trends at the moment was painted fabrics, so I did this model painting everything. Alright, I'm gonna get rid of this. There's no need. I thought I had some of the 3D, not the 3D, the A3 printed things, but I don't. Oh wow, guys, some of these are so old. I live. I've only got 14 minutes left. I thought it was 14 seconds just then. I was like, well, that was atrocious. Let's get right back into it. Color? I'm feeling color. Let's grab this brush here. Let's actually water over her whole body and drop in a bunch of colors. I mean, not her whole body, but kind of, yeah, everything. The silhouette. We're just gonna water inside all of that line and just see what we can drop in there and have it spread around. I also find that, you know, not only if you choose something that you're, you know, excited to play with or you really enjoy doing, that you'll have more motivation to do it, you'll also be more experimental. So that's why I always encourage people to start with what you're very curious about. Because when you're curious and experimental, you're open to playing, your expectations are usually left at the door easier than when you're going in thinking, oh, I have something specific to achieve. And I generally think it serves the whole process better. And you can have a lot of fun accidentally finding really great results. Even if it's just being experimental about the colors that you mix together or the techniques that you use. Like, I wouldn't typically choose to just watercolor the silhouette, but I don't know why just then I felt like doing it. I felt like it'd be a lot more whimsical than just the plain black. But it's not to say I don't like the black, just wanted to try something else. So yeah. I'm not quite sure. Maybe I'm choosing the wrong colors. I think I definitely put too much water down because they're really flowing. It's not bad, but I might have liked them to be a bit more separated. Also, when they're so washed out, the color isn't so vibrant. I wonder if I just roll over it, I'm sure it will stay a little saturated and I can just lay some more on. So let's just soak some of that up. Now I'm just going to try and do a heavier concentration of the color while that page is still a little saturated. Same colors, just bolder. I want to see what happens. What else did I use? Is this like a raw sienna? No, this is garnet. These are Daniel Smith watercolors. Oh wait, no, not Daniel Smith. There's actually a lot of them in here, different brands. If you're on playtest 2, one of the playtest press, I think it's number 3, has a list of all of the colors in this palette, so you can go check that out if you want to know specifics and where you can find some of them from. That was fun to put together, albeit a little time consuming. I did enjoy it though. I actually thought I didn't know half the names of what was in there, and a lot of them had rubbed off the actual thing, but I did remember them when I sat down to think, where did I get this from? When did I get this? And then I was like, oh, I know that color, that's this. And then I went and referenced a Daniel Smith name chart that I had and found all the colors anyway. So I did much better than I thought I would. I didn't think I remembered any of it. Alright, let's just, for fun, blot up some of her face, just in case we want to use that area, just to add a little detail to her face. And we'll just let that naturally dry and see what happens. It's going to be a little muddy in some of these areas. I shouldn't have put the brown up there with the purple, but you live and you learn. I mean, I didn't need to learn that, I already knew it, but I just tempted fate. Alright, so we got a little fairy. She's over here. We've done these. Oh, the one that I wanted to do the whole time. Why didn't you guys tell me I hadn't done it yet? Alright, let's just work with her. See, I think I want to do another one of these negative type images where I just kind of go soft in the actual drawing, but then the background is just all black or just a solid color. So let's go for that. I should go with the biggest shapes first. So I'm seeing, it almost wants to be a circle. We've got a hip line here that's just a little off. Asymmetrical. A lot of folds in the fabric over here. These are all like accordion pleats, so it's going to be tricky to get any realism in that, but there is probably a pattern of stripes we could do to, you know, simulate it. Just infer that it's there, not actually replicate the pattern. I'm going to start with the hip. I think the hip is kind of, or the waist, I can kind of make sense of. And then we've got this massive circle that if I feel like it would kind of go this way. If I can do the working lines of the circle, I can just work from there, I guess. Because we've got a body that would come up here. Kind of seeing a shadow just in here. And there is actually a part of the fabric that folds over and goes back down. Well, her dress comes out this way, her little skirt, before this part juts all the way down to the bottom. We're going up in the middle to her chest, up over by her arm, and this is where we've got all those folds in the fabric. So we'll just kind of replicate the border, the outer edge of that, and come back in again. Out off the other side of her skirt, and she's got that asymmetrical thing going on. So see how rough that looks? It might be difficult. This is why I think, like, you know, it's easy to say, just go crazy, go rough. It would probably be difficult if you're not used to seeing all those lines to even know where to go next. So that's why it is good to learn and to practice a lot with the foundation and the ideas of, you know, how drawings come together and where certain things go. But ultimately, it just comes down to a lot of practice. You'll start to know, like, oh, there's, you know, maybe your eyes can't see too many working lines, so you'll have to figure that out when you approach making your illustration. So we've got these stripes come this way, these pleats, and they kind of almost stop around this area, and then they start to take a different direction. And they actually fan all the way out until they're crumpled over here because of her hand on her hip. And then they fan down that way, so let's just leave that like that. She's got a thumb on there, but I don't want to draw the hand, so we'll just leave it kind of sketchy. There's folded pleats, like there's these accordion pleats, but they've been pinched into these triangular patterns. And then I'm just gonna, for all intents and purposes, I'm gonna say that these are just straight up falling pleats, and that these kind of sun ray from that waistband, because I can't really see them on the black. I didn't print at a setting that I could really see everything in. This is giving me so many ABBA vibes, I love that. I'm gonna put her lips on. Again, no realism with this one, just kind of adding in a few features just so she's not featureless. She's a beautiful, like, porcelain doll looking face, so nothing crazy. And she has got a bit of a widow's peak, so we'll put that in. She hasn't got any like hair really visible, so we don't have to draw any of that. I think I made her ear too big. It's okay. That long slender neck, so we'll just put that in. And then she's got a fascinator on, or like a head, like a net over her face, which I really like. It's one of those flocked nets. I'm just going to lightly put that in. The idea of that. And her hands disappearing up here, but she's going behind our fairy, so we'll just leave it up there. Okay, this is, I don't want the whole back of this image to be black, so I think I might get something circular. I don't have anything. Literally can't find anything right now. I wanted a big circle I could put behind that. I could just draw it, I guess. Let me just draw a big circle, because I think it might tie in nicely with how circular that part of her shoulder is. And that way we can really get the, oh, where are her legs? She's got no legs! Just draw them in down there. They can disappear. I think it'll be a nice way to frame her in the middle of this page without having the whole page black. So, pardon me, I need some of my coffee. 4 minutes left. Where on earth did the time go? I really just want to keep going. Should I keep going? See, this is my problem. I specifically set out to do right by myself, and then I just make all the excuses in the world because I think, no, you're having fun. Okay, let's just start adding some of these shadows in really lightly. I don't care what they really look like. I just want them to be in the place that they're in. And I'm only going to really focus on some of the more intense shadows and shading. I don't need to pick up on every shadow I can see in the piece. Just any that I think will help the final look of the image. Because she's got, see how she's got that arm? That shoulder just comes in there and you can see it down there. I'm going to put that in there anyway. That was probably too dark. Oh well. Put that in with her shoulder. This is starting to get a little too dark for me. I'm going to bring these pleats in from the top so that I can get a thinner line coming back down to the base. Just accentuate all the folds in these pleats. Sorry, I'm just taking a break from talking for a second. I get so hyped up I don't even concentrate on what I'm doing, and then I look at it and I'm like, how did that not work? Even though my brain wasn't even involved in the process. I'm a fool. I'm just a fool. I know that, Kim. Alright, got that. Got that. I'm really happy with that. I think what we could do... Oh, because see, this part is black. You know what? I'll do a metallic background. That'll look incredible. I love a bit of metallic background. So let's just go for the outlines of all of this. If I can outline it and do a nice job kind of getting some crisp lines in, then I might be able to do a nice kind of water inky effect in here. I don't know, we'll see. It has to kind of be saturated, and I feel like I'm working a little dry here. Just put some of this ink, this water in there. Maybe I can blot it up a little bit. Because I don't want it black, flat black. So I want to try and texture it somehow. You know what I should have done? I should have watered it first. What? Why don't I think? Let's try that down here. I don't think it's going to work, but it's okay. It's still interesting. Alright, let's blot some of this one up as well. Add a bit of texture, dry that a little bit. The thing I also like about the fact that it's not black, like fully stark black, is now I can put all my lines in for the pleats. They won't be super obvious, like they won't be high contrast, but you'll be able to see that in there. That'll be nice. Just scribbles. Let's get this handmade modern acrylic. Gonna get a little angled brush, dip it straight into some water. Oh, this is not angled, this is just flat. And I'm gonna put this in my circle. I'm gonna carve into my image with a metallic background. Get really luxurious on it. Guys, I have 8 seconds on my timer. What am I gonna do? I really do have to stop. There it goes. Alright, thanks, timer. I'm gonna finish putting in this background and I'll call it a day at this. I'm sorry we couldn't get more done. I guess 40 minutes isn't a lot of time considering how many things I printed off. But I hope you enjoyed the process. I hope you found any of that helpful if you were looking for that kind of information. I don't think you were, but it's there if you want it. Just some of my random thoughts as I go along. I do love fashion illustration, and it's all about the fantasy. I love the fantasy of it. I love the models, they're so unbothered. I love the clothes that just, I mean, they're pieces of art themselves, the garments. I always just get lost in the imagery of it. I wish I could wear all of this stuff. I mean, there's kind of nothing stopping me from wearing accordion pleated circular shoulder ruffles, so who knows, maybe in the future. I've just always loved it, and I don't share it often. Is it something, I don't know. I don't like to ask what people like, only because I get a very mixed response, and I feel like asking people what they like also then opens up an accountability to deliver on that. Like, it's kind of a waste of time asking people and then actually never delivering on it. So I don't really like to ask you guys what you like. And I only do that purely because I know I'm going to go with my own idea every single time. I'm so sorry if that makes you upset, but my own personal kind of philosophy to myself was do what you want to be doing, and you'll have the best time doing that. And it's better to, you know, go and have the best time and put that on camera than it is to sit there and kind of feel resentful that you're doing something you don't want to be doing. So I'm kind of sorry, I guess, that I even brought that up at the end. But is fashion illustration something that you're interested in? Just yourself? Or does this pique your curiosity? Or is it something that you ever thought you could tie into your mixed media art or your art journaling? Because, I mean, if you were doing lots of whimsical things, I mean, there's a lot of fashion you could bring to that. It's really fun to draw a lot of, you know, fun, pretty little ladies, but I love to put them in amazing clothes as well, and make their clothes just as whimsical as their face, or their setting, or their theming. I don't do it all the time. I wouldn't say that I'm like a fashion fiend in every illustration I do, but a lot of what I've learned about drawing figures and how to stylize figures, I did learn through fashion illustration. So it might be something you want to have a bit of a closer look at. I think it's like urban sketching in the sense where it's one of those things like you could totally try in your mixed media art practices or your art journaling practices, or I don't know if you do that in your scrapbooking as well, but you could try, I guess. You could definitely try it, but I think it's one of those things where you just, you know, it's something to try for a lot of people is what I assume. Because it's, I mean, like urban sketching, there's a lot to know about how the clothes work, or how the drapes fall, or how the folds go. And I guess it could be really frustrating if that's something you're just trying to play with and you feel like it's a little difficult. I would understand that. But I do like to just pull the ideas from it and just work a lot more loose with it. I used to, back when I was younger, I think you saw in those images when I was 17, I used to really want to be able to show everything very clearly, the way it was supposed to be, and I would spend a lot of time trying to draw in every detail of every button, and it just became so boring to me doing all of that, because I realized you didn't need it. No one really ever cared to go and look, you know, inside the ear and see if all those ear details were in there. Like, no one ever really cared to go and see if there was thread threaded through your buttons, your buttonholes, like on every button on your piece. They really just take everything in quite literally as you see it. You take in the whole image as a whole, and so I think you should just work with like something visually arresting rather than overly detailed in your playtime. If you want to go and do projects and actually create something fully realized and really, really detailed, I think you should totally do that as well. But I think in your playtime, to get your kind of like creativity flowing, to get yourself inspired by trying new things, I think that's where I would recommend starting with just like bold approaches to doing it. But I guess it does, it can be a little intimidating, it can be a little stressful, so I understand that as well. I want to, I think, just before I leave, I want to put the rest of the details in with this black pen. Do I? Or do I just want to put the dots on the face? Maybe I just want to put the dots on the face. Because if I start adding too much black pen everywhere, it's going to take away from all the other, like how simple the rest of it is, I think. So maybe I'll just add that, and it can be, and I can call it a day. That arm is crazy. Not mad at it, but just realizing it is crazy. I really wanted to do the fairy. I'm gonna do the fairy real quick. I should just stop. I don't want to. I'm enjoying myself. If I stop, then I have to go and edit it, and I don't want to. No, it's fine. I'm not really gonna edit anything in this. I think you probably picked that up by now. There's probably a lot of background noise. A lot of quiet space going on, a lot of quiet downtime. But this is one of those real-time videos where hopefully the chatting was consistent enough. I'm not going to say interesting, because let's be real, probably wasn't interesting to a lot of people. I certainly wouldn't be interested to hear myself say all of that back again, so it's going to be a really interesting afternoon as I sit back and listen to all of that before I upload, but yeah, we'll be fine. Can't win them all. Let's put this little belt on. Just gonna try and hit up any of the areas that I feel like there might need to be some detail carved out a little bit. I'm not gonna draw everything, but just like the shoes a little bit. Maybe this part of the arm and the glove. Oh, she had this hand here too, right? A hand that I just made a claw. This one would be really fun to add some patterning to. Oh, homegirl had some massive earrings on. Don't forget those. Add the little dip in the hat. What hair did she have? None? What hair have you got, love? It's kind of disappeared into her hat there. Just gonna very little eyebrows. Wonder if I think I might put metallic pen on that, but I don't know. I do not know. I'll try this gold. Oh yes, Kim. Should I do this gold everywhere now? I'm tempted. I'm gonna do the white instead. I think white would be a little bit more subtle and we can get away with that. So let's put some polka dots on the big fairy sleeves. Just want to add some patterning just to give it some more interest. I liked the idea of this, like just coloring inside the silhouette with all this random modeled watercolor. I think that'd be fun. I should try that again. Let's put some stripes. I'm liking it even more with the white on top, to be fair. I kind of want like a more intense pattern on this, so let's see if we can figure out how to do some checkerboard or something. It's kind of hard when the patterns go in crazy directions, like if you've got a dress that goes underneath one leg and over to the other leg. This is where you do have to start to learn about the form and the shape and how that leg is cylindrical and what happens to patterns when they wrap over cylinders. The very basic principle, if you've seen, I think I explained this in the Christmas swatch dolls tutorial. If you have a cylinder, like, you know, your cylindrical object, if you've got a straight line that goes across it, you wouldn't put it on straight like that. You would start to warp it the way that you're seeing this perspective here being warped. That same warp that's your flat line, that's your baseline. So whatever is flat on your image would have to follow that same curve, whatever your new flat is. And that way you'll have something that actually wraps around rather than just looks cut across. It wouldn't. There are times when that would happen, but when you looked at that in real life, it wouldn't be a straight line. It would be kind of like curved like that. So yeah, it's something a little bit difficult to get into, but I'm just saying, if you have for some reason been following along and you got to this part and you're like, wait, where did all those squares go? That's just because this is a pattern wrapping around, you know, the cylindrical shape of her thigh. So the pattern will warp, and this is how it does. I didn't so much care about the one that went underneath because you're not really going to see that, so don't care. Should I put some more polka dots on her legs? I should have put fishnets. I could change the pattern up. That's okay. What can I put in her hat? I think I want to do something in her hat that accentuates the shape of it. So I'm just going to run concentric bean shapes. That's what that hat looks like. Bean. I'm going to put these bean shapes until they disappear. Really just pop out that shape. And then go back in with my grey, add some of these shadows. Don't know how that's going to go, but we can test it. I do like a good shadow. I think grey was the wrong choice. Oh well, what are you gonna do? It's not the end of the world. It doesn't look bad, it just doesn't look good. No, I think it does look bad now. Oh well. I could always do it again. That's the beauty of trying and playing and learning. If you could do it once, you could do it again. So never fear if you do take a wrong turn. I know there's a big, you know, I have an iPad now, and sometimes I always think like, oh, before I do anything and make a mistake, maybe I should just do it on my iPad first. And to be fair, like, yes, if I were doing a project, I would probably approach it that way. But no part of me in real life wants to actually have to rely on the fact that I could, you know, that I could do it again. Especially actually just using the iPad. As far as doing a lot of work on my iPad, I can't do it. I just don't love the feel of digital like that. I love it for the process of like speeding up my work, but actually being on it all the time, I just find it very draining. and I don't necessarily love the look of digital. I feel like you can always tell that something's done digitally, and my hands don't like to do that, and my eyes don't really love to see that. So, not to take anything away from digital artists, I think the work is great. I'm just saying that for me, that's not I don't like to see my work done digitally necessarily. Because I did a whole colouring book in Mermaid last year, and I actually did digitize all of those drawings. I felt like a lot of the charm was kind of missing, which is something I've never admitted before, so there you go. I still liked it. I just felt like the original, obviously there was so much more charm to the sketch and how wonky it is. If you've ever really spent some time sketching and then actually cleaning up a lot of your sketches with ink and then erasing all of your original sketch, I think you'll agree that sometimes you can really take all the charm out of a piece by cleaning it up. So playing like this is just guilty pleasure for me. I think even if I did try to clean some of these up, the proportions would be so much more obviously off. That you're more forgiving because you see that they're sketched in, so you think it's loose. Your eyes interpret that as loose, and so you're not going to look with the same, critical eye that you would look at if it was photorealistic. So, boring information, I know. Why am I even talking about it? I don't want to stop. I'm gonna put buttons all the way down the back of this so that it's obvious that it's the back. It's just irritating me that it's not that obvious. I could also do with some big bows, not gonna lie, but I think I would want them in red, and I don't have any opaque red anything right now. Maybe I'll just try it. Should I try it in grey? Maybe I'll try it in grey? Like a big grey bow? I don't know. Are we getting into Madonna territory now? Was it Material Girl? Is that that's the video, right? This is probably something I should have had a reference for. Because now it just looks like nothing. Oh well, it's not bad. Should I have another one down here? Wow, I mean, how many bows does this chick need? She is one of my drawings, so she's probably going to have a few. That's something I know about myself. I love ribbons and bows. I don't know what it is about me. Let's let some of that black seep into there, see what happens. Might look like butterflies. Butterfly bows. That could be a thing. Just gonna try and put her hair up a little bit. Give her something. She needs something. Glamour, more glamour is what she needs. I don't know, it's giving me very, like, I'm boarding the Titanic today vibes, so I'm not mad at that. Let's just do a quick flip of everything we got through today. Again, just over 40 minutes of playtime and sketching. I think I had a bit of an unrealistic expectation that I'd get to all of these images today, but... Sorry, I had to get that bit. But I did get to the ones that I wanted to get to. These ones here, I like these, but I literally could have lived without all of these. These are the ones I actually was inspired to use today, and I'm very, very glad that I got around to these. So, we have our model here that we kind of got warmed up with. And I really enjoyed that. Kind of very simple. I like the shapes, it's a really interesting shape. We did this, which ended up looking like the Poirot clown. I think that's the one I'm referring to. I think you know what I'm talking about if you know what I'm trying to talk about. We ended up with a little fairy here. I think she's really cute. I like her. I love this pose. I'll use that pose again. We ended up with this one. Really, really loved that. I think that was effective. Her arm got crazy, but I don't know, not mad at it. And this one, which I totally see this, not here. I might like to try that again, very stylized. I think I actually, like, foreshortened it a little bit. Not really. It's probably not as elongated as I wanted it to be. Not as stylized. I think I went a little too literal with it, which might have had something to do with actually putting in the plumb line and following it so directly. I could have done a better job just interpreting it if I wanted to enjoy the shape better. But I'm not mad at it. I actually quite like everything we did today. I hope you enjoyed that little play-along session. I hope you were having a good time doing whatever you were doing while I was talking and playing. That's all from me. Thank you so much for watching. Until next time, bye!